Tonight, the subject is our real belief. Now here is something, and you listen to it carefully. It's a long letter, and he's bringing out certain points that might have escaped you. For here what we are trying to do is to find out all the little facets of the greatest secret in the world, the secret of imagining. For as Fawcett said, the secret of imagining is the greatest of all problems, to the solution of which all should aspire. For supreme power, supreme wisdom, and supreme delight lie in the solution of this far-off problem, this great mystery. And he has thrown some light on it. So, if I can recall, it's a long letter, typewritten, 4 pages, but I will give you some of the highlights of it. So when I met my producer 3 years ago, he was a very subdued and reserved sort of a gentleman. Reserved, he said, would be the right word to use to describe it, very reserved. So unlike the volatile enthusiast with whom I formerly worked. He was very reserved. In fact, pardon me, he couldn't express the superlative in any way. In fact, his greatest praise was the word good. So you brought in the script, and he would accept the script, and his highest praise was good. Well, I thought, I'm going to change this. So I lay on the bed, and I heard him say to me, great, just great. So I hadn't started the script, I had just given him a script, and he pronounced the script good. I am now doing this about the next script, and I heard him distinctly. I went over and over in my audio setup, as it were. So I heard him inwardly pronounce the new script as great, just great. And while I am lying there, the phone rings. I haven't started the script. The phone is ringing. It's the producer. And he's telling me that the script that he had formerly pronounced good was great, just great. I said he threw me a curve. Because that's not what I was expecting. It was about the new script, which I hadn't even started. So he not only threw me this curve, but someone had their lines crossed. So, right there, I kept on now working a new, I would say, line for him to use. And I changed it from great, just great, to terrific. And so here I am. I only heard one word. It is terrific. Well, I submitted the script, and that's exactly the word he used when he said to me, it's terrific. And with the same enthusiasm that matched my imagining. Now, I said to myself, 2 months later, every script I presented within 2 months, it was either great, just great, or terrific. It didn't go back to good anymore. So I said, no, I'm going to experiment again. So this time, I'm going to make him say, absolutely sensational. So I heard him say, absolutely sensational. Then he said to me, what the hell? If you're praising yourself, why not get the best? So I am doing it to myself anyway, so why be modest about it? I am doing the whole thing because he's only echoing it. So I said, absolutely sensational. So I finished the script, took the script into him, and he pronounced it good. He said, I almost fell out of the chair. It was not the role that I had written for him. And he said, you know how authors hate ad-libbing. You know what that means in the theatrical world. When the author writes a play, and some actor thinks he knows more than the author, and he changes the script, and he ad-libs, or maybe he forgets his lines, and if he's smart enough, he can throw a few words in, and he ad-libs. But no matter how smart he thinks he is, he doesn't flatter the author. The author feels he knows better than any actor what should be there at that moment. And so, he said in his letter, you know how authors hate ad-libbing. So that's what I do. The script has to be cut. So he gave me back the script to cut a certain portion of it. I took the script home, did all the cutting, and then mailed it to him, and I mailed it as a petulant child. I didn't even revise what he had said. But the very next day, he calls, and he said to me on the wire, "It's absolutely sensational." Now, this is the point I want you to pay strict attention to. He said, "You know, my experience with the producer disturbed me, greatly disturbed me. To hear or to occasionally think about this isn't so bad." By that he meant, you hear that all that you behold, though it appears without, it is within, in your imagination, of which this world of mortality is but a shadow. Well, to hear that and to occasionally think about it isn't too bad. But when it seeps in and takes hold of you and goes deeper, and you realize that it's true, that that producer, who is so important in the production of this great series, who is spending such fortunes, he has it to spend, that is, he allows it, he knows what he's doing, he's been successful, been running 3 years, and yet he had to actually utter the word that this writer is writing for him. And when he met him, he was so reserved, he never used any superlatives and could never bring himself to praise a thing beyond the word good. And he raised him from good to great, just great, terrific, absolutely sensational. That's an enormous accomplishment in anyone's vocabulary when he began as a most reserved party. So when the individual writer now sees what he did with a man, he said, "You know, it distressed me. It distressed me for the simple reason I have to remake my world only as I remake myself. Only as I could remake myself could I in any way remake the world." And what an undertaking. We understand that by faith the world was framed by the Word of God. You know who God is now? Your own wonderful I amness. That's God. He is framing his world, but it takes faith. To hear it without faith, it won't work. To hear it mixed with faith, it will work. If you sit down as he did, he said, "I lay on the bed." You can sit right here and carry on this inner mental conversation from premises of fulfilled desire. For thinking follows the tracks laid down in one's own inner conversations. You control the nature of the conversation and see to it that it's not an argument. It's simply from wishes fulfilled. Regardless of the nature of that wish, you carry it on the inside. Some are better at the video. They can see better, they can hear. But I find hearing so very, very easy. And I'm not a musician, so you don't have to be musically inclined to really hear. I appreciate music, but I don't play. And I don't understand music in the true sense of the word. I simply appreciate it. Yet I can hear it vividly. A man's voice, let him speak for us 1 second. Let me get the tone. Then put upon that tone any word I want to hear, and I hear it as though he were here. Now, how long it takes for what I have heard him say to come to pass, I don't know. Here, in our case, apply it, and you'll be able to tell me the most fantastic stories in the world.